My name is Mark Kempton. I'm the Senior Pilot for Queensland Government Air Rescue, and I run the helicopter base here at UD. To start with, all of us have many thousands of hours of flying experience before we even can get a job in an organisation like this. Once we get a position here, we have ongoing tests. So I have to be able to fly as a pilot on instruments, so we get checked every year to fly and pass an instrument flying test. We also use night vision goggles to assist us seeing in the dark, so we do a flight test on that every year as well. We do water operations over boats and life rafts and survivors in the sea to keep current. That's a check every year as well. And all the crew has to do these particular checks or be involved in them to some extent. We do winching over land to keep current. So we have ongoing currency requirements to fly the helicopter and maintain our skills and levels of expertise. We also now are using helicopter flight simulators. So we have two in Australia that are now located, one locally in Brisbane and one down in New South Wales, that we can then go and do and practice all the skills we require in the helicopter, but do it safely. So we can conduct emergency training, so a visual flight rules, operator proficiency check, where we actually fail engines in the aircraft, we fail hydraulic systems, electrical systems, and then we operate and fly the aircraft after utilising the checklist to get the aircraft back on the ground safely if we had a real emergency in flight. So there's a lot of training, ongoing training, and a lot of skill retentions required because it's a very skill associated operation. The helicopter's kept in the absolute highest standard of maintenance by our fantastic engineers. So we have a team of engineers across our three bases, Cairns, Townsville and Archerfield, Brisbane here, that look after the machine. So there's a number of requirements based on the manufacturer's product list, if you like, on what they have to do. So every so many hours of operation, the aircraft's inspected. On a daily basis, the engineers will look over the aircraft and make sure every nut, rivet and bolt is in perfect condition, because safety is the highest concern for all of us. So it's extremely safe. Many people think flying a helicopter is dangerous because they only hear about them when they actually crash, but we do across the world millions of hours of flying a year in a helicopter, and the most dangerous part of my job is actually probably driving to work on the roads, not flying the helicopter. So our engineers do a fantastic job, and they are always looking at the aircraft to maintain them. The pilots are trained, like myself. I have a maintenance approval and maintenance authority to also do inspections on the aircraft and check everything that's right. So each day we come in, we're checking all the oil levels, we're checking the condition of the rotor systems, we're checking the fuselage, the undercarriage, every aspect of it that we can look at to make sure it's in perfect working order before we even launch on any missions. So when we fly, we have iPads that we have, and all our maps and charts and all our electronic documentation is on here as well. So we can sit here, we can look at the map, we can see the helicopter symbol on the iPad there. We can look at the airfields that we're going to, and get all our details for our instrument approaches, etc. So you can see that's an instrument approach we would fly when we're doing. So we're in cloud and we can't actually see where we're going. We fly on the instruments and follow this pattern on the actual chart to get to where we want to go. So it's quite handy. The aircraft, the Augusta 139, has large electronic flight information screens that we can look at during flight. This gives us all our navigation information and tells us what's going on with the aircraft systems. By using our cursor control display, we can actually look at for example, that page there is the electrical systems to see what the generators are doing. We can check the hydraulic systems in flight to see that the pumps are working and the temperatures and pressures are all correct. And using our map display, we can actually see where the aircraft is in space, reference to all the units on the ground as well. So all the instrumentation's here for us to do our job and to get to people in the quickest and most efficient way possible. We also have cameras on board the aircraft. So there's a tail camera. It's a bit hard sitting in here. You'll see it better outside, where you can actually see the camera looking and seeing what we're seeing as we're flying along. We have a forward-looking infrared that we can also hook up to the aircraft, so that will detect heat differences down to 1/600th of a degree. So if we're looking for someone lost in the bush, we can see them as a white hot outline in amongst all the bush to locate them as well. So it's very sophisticated for search and rescue sides of things. The other big aspect of the aircraft is the power. Both these engines generate 1,872 shaft horsepower per side, so it's a very, very powerful helicopter. It also means that if we lose one engine in flight, which we've never had happen anyway, but if we do lose one engine in flight, the other engine will keep the aircraft flying. So it's a double safety, if you like, net to keep the aircraft operational. During winching operations, which is one of our biggest things, we use the winch on the side of the aircraft to lower our rescue crewmen down via a hook and a cable up to 70 metres into the trees, and we can hover above those trees outside ground effect with the power of the aircraft, maintain a stable hover reference, and then the rescue crewman, the paramedic and or the doctor, whoever we decide to winch down, can get to the patient or the survivor, treat them, put them in a stretcher, and then we can winch them back up. So it's very, very, a really good system that operates within the aircraft to help people on the ground. This aircraft is called Rescue 500, so that's our call sign here. This particular one is Echo Sierra Zulu, but it's known across the network as Rescue 500, based here at Archerfield. We bought this aircraft back in 2008, so we've had it for around 9 years now, but you can still see that it's as good as new because it's maintained so well. The aircraft is built by Augusta Westland, and the main manufacturer is in Italy, where they build these aircraft. Many operations around the world are buying these aircraft because they're such good aircraft and such powerful aircraft. They also have all the modern facilities that any pilot and crew would want to operate. The aircraft flies at about 300 kilometres an hour in the cruise. It burns 400 kilos of fuel every hour, and we can put up to 1,600 kilos of fuel in the aircraft itself. It's a really modern fleet. In fact, the cockpit here is very similar to the cockpit of a Boeing 777 aeroplane. So your normal jet you get onto to fly to somewhere around the world, it's the same sort of cockpit. So in a helicopter, this is very sophisticated. The cockpit design and the autopilot design is very, very modern as well. So I can couple this up to our autopilot system and actually sit and not touch any of the controls, and the computers will drive the aircraft for me. Just like a modern jetliner, the aircraft can be programmed by the onboard flight computers and the autopilot system, and I can sit here with my hands and feet off all the controls, and it will do what I tell it to do via the flight management system and the flight director system. So I can tell the aircraft to climb or descend, I can tell it to fly at a certain speed, I can tell it to track along a navigation line going from point A to B or a heading, and the computers will do all that for you. So this is almost like a flying computer. It has a local area network established within the avionics system in the helicopter. So it's incredibly modern and sophisticated. It makes life very easy for the pilots. We have a flight management system here as well, so we can program this to go anywhere in the world. So we can put in a latitude and longitude or a location of a particular place name, and the aircraft will fly straight there, following the most direct route, which means that we're there quickly to assist the patients or the survivors. The other thing with the fuel endurance on the aircraft, we can spend quite a bit of time in an area. So it might be winching off a ship, for example, where we put our medical team down and then we have to wait, and that could be up to 100 miles offshore. So we've still got the time to wait for the medical team to treat the crew, to treat the survivor I should say, and then we can winch them back on board the aircraft and fly them back to the major retrieval hospital. So every aspect of this is fantastic. The aircraft has retractable undercarriage, which means it's very, very clean in the air. There's not much drag. And we have a tracker light on the side as well. The tracker light develops millions of candle power of light when we turn it on at night, so we can help see in the dark. And we also use night vision goggles that we flip down, which are like a pair of binoculars that take cultural lighting and any lighting that we've got from towns and things, celestial lighting, the moon, the stars, and it magnifies it hundreds and thousands of times, so we can actually see in the dark through these green phosphor NVG goggles that we use as well. So all this allows us to get to our patients, get to our survivors, treat them, locate them, and bring them back to safety.